Hi, I'm Marysia Do, and in this flow, we're going to work on the transition from Twisted Crow to Ekapada Kundalini 2. What does that mean? Stephen will show us. So Twisted Crow, what we'll focus on in the flow to make the posture more accessible, if not accessible today, is twisting. All right, the chest reaches forward, so the thighs come across the tricep, and then there's a little tilt in the hips skyward that makes the hips lighter. You can come back down. So we're going to do what we need to do to help open up the body for that guy. And then the second guy, Ekapada Kundalini 2. Say that twice, 3 times 4 really fast, and it'll just be hard. Anyway, take the left leg forward. So what Ekapada Kundalini 2 means is what Stephen will show right here. Now, getting the shoulder underneath requires mobility there and hip flexor mobility to get the chest below the thigh. All right, from there, go ahead, reach the chest forward. If the front leg doesn't straighten, for the full variation, which we haven't done much warming up yet, you can bend the front knee and have the toes point back, and then the glutes and the hamstring fire up to lift the leg up, as well as the low belly, and you can relax. Of course, both of these postures require a fair amount of arm and shoulder strengthening work, which we'll do within the flow. What I encourage you not to do is feel discouraged if there's something that you can't quite figure out just yet. That's what we're here for, to figure it out together. And a lot of times the learning process has confusing moments, and the more patient you are with those confusing moments, the more you'll relax and the more energy you'll conserve to stay with it. Let's get started. Let's start in a cross-legged position. Close your eyes. Shift your attention to your breath and watch the breath flow into and out of your body. And use this as an opportunity to remember that there is this effortless force that runs through you and all around you. And as we move through the postures, just trust in the way things come together, the way things flow, and accept your experience. Do your best to enjoy the opportunity to practice, the opportunity to breathe, to live. Each time your mind wanders, notice where it goes and quickly and gently shift the attention back to your breath. If you're anything like me, this may be the hardest part of your practice, but it's also in many ways the most worthwhile. So continue to commit to focus on your breath and the simplification of your mind. Create a slight constriction at the base of the throat, and use that action to help pull your focus even more. For most of us, having something to do helps us become more present. And feel how that shift in your breath changes your energy. For everyone, it'll be different. And then extend that little tension that's at the base of the throat down into your core. Fire up the belly a little bit more. And if you feel that turning on your belly, making your core a little bit tighter, hinders your breath, envision instead the breath riding along the spine rather than into and out of the stomach. And just notice how that tension in your core shifts your energy. Tends to get me pretty revved up. Bring your hands to heart center. Bow your head. And then lift your head. Come on to hands and knees. Firstly, we'll practice the energetics of the hands to protect the wrists and strengthen the forearms. So in this hands and knees position, Stephen's going to ground the second knuckle from the tip of his fingers. And he's going to keep the webbing between the index finger and thumb as grounded as possible. Then we'll move the energy into the tips of the fingers and press the fingertips down. You'll feel the forearms activate. So there's a feeling of it's invisible to the eye, but you feel a little lift at the base of the wrist. And then continue to do the same work, but turn the palms out so they face side to side. Then we'll rock side to side. Yeah, continue to use your breath to help keep your energy stable. And then we'll reorient the hands so the fingertips point to the back of the mat. And you'll pull your hips back a bit. Maybe rock forward. And back. One more time, reorient the hands so that the tops of the palms are on the floor and the fingertips point back. Yeah, and feel that slow increase in pressure. We definitely don't want to jerk our wrists or arms around, or any part of our body for that matter. Move with a heightened sense of awareness of what the actions are doing. And then make your way into a plank pose. Step the feet back. Good. Push the floor away and feel your upper back lift. Bend your knees 1 inch and then draw the front of the pelvis toward your rib cage. Try to keep that low belly lift and press the backs of the knees to the ceiling. Yes. So that engagement of the core, what the gymnasts call the hollow front body, very useful for arm balancing, but not necessarily always the best thing for your low back. So if this is uncomfortable for your low back, respect that. Down dog. Okay, down dog, you can make it casual, pedal out your feet, maybe sway the hips side to side. Just ease into your body. Do what feels good. Find stillness. Inhale, plank. And then lower all the way down onto your stomach. Nice. We'll move into a Sphinx pose so that the elbows are stacked underneath the shoulders. Okay, we'll press the elbows down and tilt the tops of the shoulders up and back. Use the elbows pressing down to lift the center of the chest. Use the elbows isometrically drawing back to open up the chest a little bit more. Hold for another 3, 2. Tuck the toes under and lift the knees and hips up. Forearm plank. Keep the belly engaged. Hold for another 3, 2. And lower back down. Take your hands into the up dog position. Up dog. Down dog. Inhale, plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Come into plank pose. Then twist to the pinky toe side of the left foot, but keep the right hand grounded. Keep the center of the chest reaching forward and the hips press skyward as the front of the pelvis, like we did in plank, pulls toward the rib cage. Yes. Go ahead, reach the right arm up. Draw the right knee into your chest. Look at your left hand and step the foot near it. If you're not quite so coordinated at this just yet, you can, of course, step your foot, use the right hand on the calf, and use that to help take the foot forward. We'll pause in this gentle twist position once you get the foot beside the hand and reach the right arm skyward. So warming into the twists, nice and slow. Keep the center of the chest reaching forward. And then Warrior One. Inhale, both arms up. In Warrior One, we're in a heel to heel or perhaps a little wider alignment. The left side of your waist is drawing forward, or the hip. Center of the chest lifts. And then open to the side, Warrior Two. Warrior Two is longer front to back and narrower side to side, so more like a heel to arch alignment. Do your best to keep both sides of your waist long as you turn the right palm up and reverse. And in this position, you have the right knee deeply bent and the knee veering toward the right, so the knee doesn't collapse toward the midline. It's more in line with the second toe. And then we'll straighten the front leg. Trikonasana. Draw that front hip back. Reach the right side waist forward. The fingertips can come to the floor, to the shin. The left arm comes up. Good. So right here, this is quite useful for that Ekapada Kundanyasana too, opening up the inner knee and inner thigh. And then back to Warrior Two. And then we're going to take the right forearm to the thigh. The left arm will come overhead. So you can go ahead and take the arm all the way overhead. Now we're going to try to keep the right side of the waist wrapping underneath. So we're really facing the side wall. And then maybe you can lower your right hand toward the floor on the inner side of the foot. If the floor isn't accessible yet, use a block. If you can't move it yet, then don't even move it. But what we're trying to do is open up that hip flexor so that getting the shoulder underneath the thigh gets easier later down the line. Warrior Two. Inhale. Strong in the legs. Reverse. And Vinyasa. Move and breathe. Plank pose. Roll to the pinky toe side of the right foot. Both hands stay grounded. The low belly is engaged and the chest extends forward. Good, so you want to use this, really exhale into those obliques and feel them working. Love that sensation. If you don't love it yet, learning to love it will make getting stronger much easier. Reach the left arm up. Draw the left knee into the chest. And then step the foot forward. Once again, the left hand can come to the calf to help it out if the foot doesn't step all the way forward. And then we'll reach the left arm up. Good. So we're wrapping the right side of our waist underneath, but leaning the tops of the shoulders back as the center of the chest extends forward. Warrior One. So once again, this stance here is a little bit wider than where we're going. The outer right hip in this case is reaching forward and the left heel pulls back. And then we open out to Warrior Two. For our Warrior Two, we're longer front to back, narrower side to side. And then turn the left palm up and reverse. Warrior Two. Straighten the front leg. Trikonasana. So feeling that twisting action happening here as the left side of the waist wraps underneath you, and then the right obliques are hugging into the body as the chest extends forward. And do your best to keep the quads, the muscle on top of the thigh, engaged to protect the knee. Warrior Two. Left forearm to thigh, right arm overhead. And if you're in this position here, try not just sink here. Yeah, go ahead, just drop down. Try to avoid this position in the shoulder where the shoulder sinks toward the ear. Press the elbow down and lengthen the side of the neck. And then if you're comfortable, you can slide the left palm to the instep of the foot. The heels are hugging toward each other for 3, 2, warrior dose. Reverse. Vinyasa. And then look forward between the palms and step or hop the feet forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, folded. Chair pose. Hands to prayer and twist to the right. So we're moving into a deeper twist now. What you can do over time to increase your mobility is press the left arm more into the thigh. Yeah, and feel that rooting down to rise and rotate. Chair pose. Side number 2, twist. So you'll want to start slow. We want to make sure we don't tweak our low backs by really muscling into our deepest variation of the posture straight away. Take your time. We have a few breaths. Now start to apply more pressure with that right arm. Yeah, revolve. Chair pose. And stand up. And then reorient yourself toward the camera. All right, we're going to engage the obliques a little here with some genie in the bottle kind of work. All right, so the shoulders stay put. The knees stay put. We're just going to move from the center. Yeah, hips to the right and then to the left. And you want to feel the obliques hugging into the body as you move. So inhales through center, exhale, pause. Inhale and exhale. And you'll really want to do your best. You can even close your eyes and see if by closing down your eyes you can isolate the sensations in your body and try to feel a real contraction on the side of the waist where your hip is going. Inhaling through center, easing up. And then exhale, hip goes to the other way and that side of your waist contracts. Notice if there's tension creeping up in your face or anywhere else unnecessarily. And then after your next round, come back to center. Reach the arms up, inhale. Exhale, forward folds. Flat back. Plank pose. From here, reach the left arm up, Vashisthasana. In this position, press the right hip upward a little bit more. Feel those obliques working. And then take the left forearm down and reach the right arm up. Good, yeah, and reorienting the left palm more toward the midline will help with balance, but it's not necessary. Opens the shoulder more if it point fingertips point forward. And then take the right forearm down. Reach the left arm back up. And then lower the hips toward the floor. Good. And then you can sit on the meat of the right buttock. So lean back a little bit. Good. Take your left hand behind your head. And then on an exhale, bend your knees and reach your left elbow toward your right foot. Nope, keep the hips down. And then pull your knees into your chest. And take your, yep. You can butterfly your knees. There you go. Inhale, extend. Exhale, pull it in 2. Inhale. Exhale, 3. We call this the Burt Reynolds. It's like the Cosmo color, circa 1970 or 80 something. Last one, pull it in. Oh, yeah. Make it hurt so good. Hurt so good. Make it tighter. So tight. And then inhale, extend. Good. Take the right hand back down. Yep, side plank. Right palm is on the floor. And then full Vashisthasana. I meant left arm. Left arm comes down. The right arm comes up. Here we go. Reach. And then right forearm down. Left forearm up. There we go. Yes. Now, left forearm down. Right arm up. And then we do the bird. Go ahead, sit down. Right hand behind your head. And then exhale. Pull it in for 5. Inhale. Exhale for 4. Inhale. Exhale 3. Yeah. Inhale. Last 2. Inhale. And last 1. Extend. Reach the right arm up. Got it this time. Right hand down. Side plank with the right hand. Left arm up. Take the left hand down. Go through a vinyasa. All right. Look forward between the palms, and on an exhale, step or hop the feet forward. Good. Sit back in chair pose. And then lift your heels and drop your hips all the way down to your heels. Good. From here, you're going to take your right tricep across the left thigh. So you want to get the tricep above where the knee is and the knee above the elbow. If that's hard for you, what you can practice doing is lifting the left heel higher to get the leg higher up the arm. We'll ground that palm, and then from this position, the left hand gets grounded. Stephen's going to extend his chest forward. He's going to reach the chest forward, and then he's going to tilt that top hip up to make the hips a little lighter. Yeah. And then come on down. If you're in the habit of resting the hip on the elbow, can you show that one? So if for you coming into the pose is lower and we're using this elbow here, one way to help cheat getting the hip off of the elbow, and this works, I would say, 4 out of 5 times. We're going to practice taking that hand wider, and we're going to turn the palm out. So when the fingertips point forward, it's more likely that the shoulder will collapse. By turning the palm out, we naturally open up the shoulder, and we're taking the hand too wide for the hip to reach. So take the hand out there. Good. And then chest forward, chest forward. So we're not sinking down into the pose. We're extending across, horizontal. And then come on down. And then we'll take it to the second side. All right, so that left arm comes across the thigh. And we want to make sure, again, we're above the elbow and above the knee. That's our little shelf, and then the chest extends, and then top hip lifts. Yeah, making it a little bit lighter. If you don't need the top hip to lift, that's fine, but if it does make got a little bit of a larger derriere, can make things a bit lighter. One more time, just, for a sure good time, not for poops and giggles. And come on down, forward folds. All right, you can grab hold of your elbows, take a moment to catch your breath. We'll move into the next sequence to open up the hips for that Ekapada Kundanyasana 2. So it'll lighten the load on the arms a bit. Take the palms down, step or hop back. Yogi's choice, either through a vinyasa or straight to the downward facing dog. Inhale, reach the right leg up. Draw the knee into the chest and step the foot forward. Good. Place your back knee down. And then from here, we're going to move into the half splits. So Stephen's going to straighten his front leg. Good. Excellent. If reaching the floor is not possible for you with your fingers, then bring the floor to you. You have your hands on blocks. In this position with the back round, so just drop your head and chest, this actually shortens the hamstring some. So in an effort to build more mobility, this is for the extended leg in Ekapada Kundanyasana 2, you're going to start to send the sit bones back more and extend the chest forward. If you'd like to add even more stretchiness to the pose, you can think of that front heel pulling toward the back of the mat. Good, and we'll linger here for a little bit longer. So this one, once again, is for that front leg that's going to be stretched overhead. And if you notice this pose is really hard for you, then in all likelihood, extending that front leg in your Kundalini 2 will be challenging as well. So now we know where our homework is. More half splits. And then we're going to bend to the front knee. We'll place both hands to the instep of the right foot. Keep the palms down. And then we're going to stay long, bend your left knee, and reach your right hand back for the foot. So what we're doing now is stretching the hip flexor of this leg. If your right knee is veering to the right, keep it hugging to the midline. Although stretching the outer hip is useful for this pose, what we're focusing on now, which is also useful for the pose, is stretching the front of the hip here. So the more you sink your hips and the more you lift the chest, the bigger the angle that will be. So a more very advanced variation of this one would not be with the forearms down. It would be with just the palms because we want to increase the angle once again from here and here, not decrease it. Maybe you pull the foot in a little tighter. I know for most of us this one is like super intense. Just breathe through it. Do the yoga. And then release the foot. See? And then all things pass. The right palm comes down. Good. And then in this one, we'll go ahead. Allow the hip to sink to the side. You want the foot flexed, and then you can lower toward your forearms. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to ask Stephen to lift the back knee up. There you go. And the thought is of the chest dropping. Yes. So we're stretching this hip here by taking the leg to the back body and this hip here as well. And we're also practicing dropping the shoulders a little lower. And then you can rock forward and back for 3, 2, 1. Come back to your palms. And then step the right foot back. Down dog. Walk your hands back to your feet. Chair pose. Make sure your feet are right into place, right, Stephen? Yes, important. And then interlace the fingers behind your back. Lift the chest. Good. Forward folds. So if you have tighter shoulders, feel free to have a towel between your hands so you're holding on like so, or just the fingers, but for my more flexible folks, the heels of the hands are together. Release the hands down, down dog. Lift the left leg up, draw the knee into the chest, and step. Half splits, the back knee comes down, the front leg straightens. So one of the ways that yoga can help us deal with challenging situations off the mat is that it can help us build our tolerance for discomfort. So in a posture like this, if it's really hard for you, the practice is just being a little uncomfortable for a little while and learning that that's an okay feeling to have. So this idea that we're aiming to live in a state of perpetual bliss doesn't mean that it's necessarily a state of perpetual ease. There's just an ease that we bring to the challenges that we're presented. We're okay if things kind of suck a little bit. Maybe you add the back bend to make it more intense. Maybe you pull the front heel back to make it even more intense. And then bend the front knee. Good. Now for this one, you want to make sure that you're not on the kneecap, but like Stephen is here, keep the knee down. You're more on the bottom of the thigh. Then you'll bend your the right knee, and then reach the left hand back for it. Good. So we don't want the hip to be stacked on top of the knee. We want the hip to be way forward of the knee. If that's something that's not possible for you to grab hold of the foot, then feel free to use a strap or a towel. Or for you, enough of a stretch might just be resting your hands on the thigh and sinking down. I know for myself, I even feel it there already. this variation is not necessary for you to be doing the work to help you get into your Ekapada Kundalini too. Sink the hips a little lower, lift the chest a little higher. And then we'll release there. Remember that front knee is still hugging to the midline for that one, but for the next one, flex the foot. Allow the knee to sink to the side, and then you'll lower toward, if not to, the forearms. So if coming down all the way to the forearms is not possible for you yet, grab a pair of blocks. Make it happen. Curl the back toes under and lift the knee. Think of the chest and the hips dropping. And then you can feel free to rock forward and back. And just notice how the intensity of the pose affects your energy. And trust that whatever you're feeling is perfect. And then make your way back to your hands. And then step the foot back. Inhale, reach the right leg up. Yeah, 3-leg dog, sorry. Hips up and back. Bend the knee and open the hip. So now this is just a little bit more of a passive stretch for that hip flexor. And then ground your back heel as much as possible so you make it a hamstring stretch for that leg there. And then draw the right knee into your chest. And then land the shin down. Good. Hover your left leg. So you're on all three. Yeah, you can slide that knee back. Good. And then we're just going to practice a little bit of that glute engagement. So we're going to pulse with the left thigh up, up, for another 5, 4, 3, 2, lift and hold. Good. Reach the chest forward more. And then place the knee down, down dog. Left leg comes up. Bend the knee, open the hip. And round your right heel more. Okay, so the glute work is to help with the lifting of the back leg, but what's more important to lift the back leg up is reaching the chest forward, and we'll get to that. And then draw the knee into the chest and land the shin down. There we go. Lift the right leg up. And then little pulses here. Yep, lift. This is also nice to give yourself a nice little peachy apple bottom. Last 3, 2, lift and hold. And set the foot down. Down dog. All right, so now we're going to work on bringing the whole thing together, or at least for that one pose. So draw the right knee into the chest. Step the foot forward. Now you'll shrug the right shoulder underneath the thigh. And I recommend, rather than taking the hand in line with the foot, moving the fingertips closer to the heel. So lifting that front leg up is a bit easier. And then Stephen's going to go ahead and take the foot forward. And then for him, just to make it easier, because he has slightly tighter hammies, we're going to bend the heel back. So we take the hamstring out. And then watch how far forward he's got to go to lift that back toe up. Yes. That's the #1 thing most students struggle with when learning this pose. Land the toes down, 3-leg down dog. Reach the right leg up and back. Okay, if you're someone that the back foot just feels really heavy, this next variation might make it a little easier. Take your hands back 1 hand distance. Okay, now we're going to use momentum. So he's going to take the inner thigh of that right leg and swing it forward and just rock off the back foot. Yes. And if your face lands, it happens. That's part of the yoga learning. It just sometimes happens. You'll live. All right, one more time. Pick your favorite. Go ahead. Thigh to tricep. And we got to really get that thigh above the elbow. There we go. And then left toes land. Right toes land. Let's try it on side number 2. Or as I like to call it, the other good side. All right, go ahead and take the left foot forward. You'll step it outside the hand. And then we're going to shrug the shoulder underneath. And notice how he uses his hand to kind of push the calf forward. That can be really helpful. And then from here, the fingertips are a little further back, and then he'll go ahead, Maybe we take the toes. I think this side's a little more open. We can stretch them forward. Yeah. So the tighter this is, the more the quad has to work to make it happen. Go ahead, chest forward, lifting the back toes up. Ta-da! And then toes down, leg up and back. Whoosh. Great way to build strength is just to make that transition from your attempt to Kundalini 2 to three-leg dog. And then shortened down dog. I think we already did that. And then we'll take the thigh and rock forward. Yes. Toes back down. Third time's a charm. Go ahead. Draw it in. And rock, chest forward. Ta-da. And both toes come down. Now, we'll put it all together. One vinyasa first. Just to move and breathe. Get out of your head. Go ahead. Now linger in your down dog and try to think of the breath moving through the folds of your brain and relaxing your mind. Inhale, plank pose. Roll to the pinky toe side of the left foot and reach your right arm up. And draw the right knee into your chest. Instead of stepping the foot right by the hand, step the foot so it points to the side of the room in front of the left thigh. Transfer your weight into the left hand. Lift your left foot up. Oh, yeah. And then step the left foot next to the right. Yeah. Yep, that's it. And then twist the right tricep across the thigh. Twisted crow. Go ahead, take the palm down, reach the chest forward. Now for this one, we got to really use the top thigh comes over the tricep. All right. So what we're doing here, go ahead, when you're ready, make your way to twisted crow. That top thigh comes over the bottom, and then inner thigh of that back leg engages. Yep, toes land. Go ahead. Through a vinyasa or straight to dog. Just rest. Breathe. Feed yourself reassuring thoughts. You showed up to yoga. Everything after that's a bonus. Let's see how this bonus round goes. Inhale, plank pose. Roll to the right foot, left arm up. Come on, Stephen, we want to see those abs. Draw the left knee into the chest and step the foot. Okay, so now we transfer weight into the right hand. The foot comes through. The left tricep comes across. Now for this one, we don't want the knee so close to the shoulder because we want space for the top thigh to come over the bottom. So just above the elbow, we'll go ahead, reach the chest forward as he lifts up. And then we're going to take the top thigh over and then strongly engage the inner thigh of that bottom leg. Yeah. And then through a vinyasa. Child's pose. So one thing that we really want to work on to keep that leg lifting as we remove it from the twisted crow to the Kundalini 2, the bottom leg, is to keep the inner thigh of that leg lifting skyward maximally. Now, the inner thigh engagement can be practiced in any pose. In Tadasana, hugging the outer hips to the midline. Chair pose, hugging the outer hips to the midline. Down dog, hugging the thighs toward each other. That will help you build a lot more strength there. It's really useful for just about every posture. Now we'll stretch out. Make your way back into Sphinx pose. All right, so we're going to open up the hip flexors first. All right, so from here, Stephen's going to bend his left knee, reach the left arm back. Good. We're going to draw the foot toward us at first. In this one, you want to be careful that the knee isn't veering too much to the left. Then we'll press the right elbow down to lift the chest. And then we're going to do the opposite, grabbing hold of the big toe side of the foot. We're going to kick the foot away and now stretch out the pec. So that area tends to get really tight in all those arm balances. Kick the foot away for last 3, 2, and release. Make a little pillow with your hands and rest your forehead down. See if you can use your focus on your breath to simplify your mind. And then come back to your forearms. Bend the right knee. Reach the right hand back and pull the foot toward you. Okay, so some of us may feel this more in the quads than in the hip flexors, so depending on where you're tighter, that's where you'll feel it. Yeah, lifting the chest more is likely to help you get further into the hip flexor. Some of you may be so flexible you can lift the back knee up. And that's probably mostly just my students in Singapore and Hong Kong. In America, they don't make them like that. And then you'll switch the grip. All right, so holding on to the big toe side of the foot. All right, so that the front of the chest is open. So instead of having that internal rotation opening up as we kick the foot away, and release. Make your way back into child's pose. In your child's pose, use your forehead on the floor, on the block, wherever. Think of that pressure point where the floor is hitting your head as energy rooting, grounding your mind, and softening the folds of your brain. The imagination is a powerful tool to enact change. So we can start simple here. Imagining that the earth energy rebounding up into our skull softens the folds of our brain to relax the mind. And lift your head up. Take your ankles to the right and sit back. Stem the legs forward. And then just scoot forward on the mat some. Good. Reach the arms forward. Slowly roll back. For 5, 4, 3, 2, Shavasana. Let's all take a larger inhale through the nose and out the mouth. Feel yourself entirely supported by the floor below you. Take your next inhale deeper. And exhale out your mouth. Reach the arms overhead and stretch fingers to toes. Draw the knees into your chest and roll to the right. And when you're ready, you'll sit up, close your eyes. One of the keys to learning these more challenging postures and transitions is not allowing the confusion or the defeats to make us feel defeated. Failure is part of the learning process, and it's not definitive. The practice is giving ourselves permission to be uncomfortable, to not have clarity, and continuing to pay attention through those gray, frustrating points. And in continuing with that more laser-like focus, eventually we find clarity and things do come together. The practice is remaining hopeful even when we don't see any clearing or any way in which things could come together. And then off the mat, of course, when we're thrown curveballs that we don't know how to deal with, they require our attention and our care and our patience and our faith that in time we will figure it out. Continue to watch your breath and be amazed at the way your system takes care of itself. Bring your hands to heart center. Namaste.